back in the 1700s, and I wanted to touch on some of these early Gothic novels. We talked a bit about it last month, and it's going to probably carry a little bit into next month. This is Anne Radcliffe, The Mysteries of Udolpho.
You're nearly finished with it.
I think it was not the first, that would be Otranto, which I'll do next month, but potentially the second Gothic book. But from what I understand, the other one is a bit more brief. This was like the first one that really gave us the genre of like Gothic fiction and like the old castles and all this type of stuff, and particularly the suspense and the slow pacing and the kind of dread and everything. Twice it specifically mentions like the torturous suspense, and it is torturous. The book is very slow paced, to its discredit. So I haven't finished it, I have to be honest. I'll quickly take 2 minutes at the end of the episode when we come back and wrap it up. But I think I've read enough to talk about it. It's almost 700 pages, and I've read about 500, so I know what's going on. It's going to, like, very tentatively get a yeah. Only because of how influential and important it was. If this had come out this year, I would have sent it down the gutter. Because it's not that good. It's a genre that already exists then, yeah. And it's not doing anything that would be considered pushing the envelope, I can say. I'm going to read something from near the beginning. Our main character is called Emily, and this is a little piece about her childhood, okay? So, one daughter was now his only surviving child, and while he watched the unfolding of her infant character with anxious fondness, he endeavoured, with unremitting effort, to counteract those traits in her disposition which might hereafter lead her from happiness. She had discovered in her early years uncommon delicacy of mind, warm affections, and ready benevolence, but with these was observable a degree of susceptibility too exquisite to admit of lasting peace. As she advanced in youth, this sensibility gave a pensive tone to her spirits, and a softness to her manner, which added grace to beauty, and rendered her a very interesting object to persons of a congenial disposition. I don't want to read 700 pages about her now. I hate
Bland.
I'm so bored.
Actually, yeah, even when you were reading that, I was just kind of like, Dean has a nice reading voice. I have none of this is going in.
No, it was in one ear out the other.
Of course. And this is the most... And I read this, I'm just like, now I've got to read 700 pages about this. I don't want to do it.
Do you want to read Ivanhoe?
No. So...
It's okay, I'll do it so you don't have to.
And
you just owe me a Daniel Deronda.
Oh, God. I have reservations.
That still remain for a long time.
Yeah. So... This is another example of your super innocent Victorian girl. Pre-Victorian, I guess, but it's the same archetype.
We've heard it so many times at this point.
And really no personality. So, she lives in a castle with her dad. And...
There's not even Carmilla? No. You don't even have a nice vampire?
Well,
no. Okay.
Her mum dies.
Oh, wow, surprise.
Yeah. And there's a couple of, like, little early bits that seem spooky to, like, foreshadow. She keeps hearing like a weird musical instrument playing or something, you know. Mum dies, and then she sees the dad like crying over a photo of another woman. Dun, 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 dun. Then the dad is also going to die. So they're like, we have to revive your health by going on like a mountain trek. So they go on the mountain trek, and then the dad is like, this is terrible for my health, and I'm going to die.
Go to Italy, like they recommend in Ibsen.
So they meet a guy called Valancourt, and she falls in love with him, and he's like becomes a friend of the dad's or whatever. The dad is a good guy, and so is Valancourt, and they see this guy who's like been robbed or is poor or something, and they just give him like lots of money to help him feed his kids and stuff. So lots of like virtuous people, you know. So the dad dies, but the last thing he says to her is, never ever sell the castle. You can never sell the castle we live in. And also, in this secret compartment, I've hidden like a little bit of gold, not much, but a little bit of gold that you can have. There's also some important papers there, which you need to burn without reading.
Okay, yeah.
Delete my browser history.
Yeah. So that's very suspicious. And she does.
Aww.
There's a photo in there, and it's the photo of the girl, and then she sees it, and she's like, he didn't say not to look at the photo, so I guess I can, and I just burn all these papers. And it's like, oh, okay.
That's Seems like it's not in the spirit of the action. That seems like something you would do, Dean.
So
He would look at pictures of girls, yes.
yeah. There is a Monsieur.
Not what I meant.
There's a Monsieur Quesnel who is some old uncle, and it's just like, well, I guess he's gonna take over your home, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna do lots of renovations. He was kind of taking over the home anyway because the dad was broke, and it's like a historical mansion, and he wants to do like horrific modernizations, and he's like, oh, this 100-year-old oak tree in the garden, chop that down, this old like ancient wing, trash that. Like he just wants to bulldoze it and modernize it, and they're
He said
horrified.
you can't sell the castle, but didn't say anything about tearing it down.
Yeah. So she's very sad. Eventually what he does, by the way, is he just rents it out without her permission. So she's got nowhere to live. But the dad is like, oh, you'll have to go to my sister. We do not like my sister, but you'll have to go to her. And of course the sister is like, oh, you're just like your dad. So virtuous and nice. Ugh, hate you, basically. But she wants to marry Valancourt. And I don't understand anyone's motivation in this book. Just let her marry Valancourt and go off and live in her home. The end.
Is he an actor, though?
He's not.
Okay, then you can marry him.
But what they do instead, the mum is like, you can't marry Valancourt. I want you to marry this other guy. And then she slags off Valancourt accidentally to Valancourt's aunt, and then changes her mind completely and is like, he's a good chap all along. You should marry him. So they prepare a wedding. When they go to parties, she keeps telling her off, and like, I guess today it would be like slut-shaming her, essentially, but like telling her off anytime any guy tries to flirt with her or anything. Meanwhile, the aunt herself is letting all the guys flirt with her, because that's okay somehow. They fake prepare a wedding for her in Valancourt, bait and switch. The mum gets married to some other guy instead, using all the like wedding preparations, wedding dresses and everything. Sorry, the aunt. And they're like, cool. So I've changed your mind again. You're not allowed to marry Valancourt. Never think of him again. I'm going to marry this other guy, like Signor Montoni or something, and we're going to move to Italy with him. Leave France. So that's the end of your life, basically. So they go to Italy, and this guy just imprisons them in his castle, which is Udolpho. And his castle is just this old wreck that he's inherited by like other swindles he's done, essentially. So they do some repairs to the castle, and he just imprisons the two women, basically. And then the aunt is really sad, and she's like, oh no, why did I do this? And the girl's kind of like, well, I did tell you. So he then decides to become like a brigand chief. And like there's all these really rough men are running around the castle, and they're going out doing like thefts and brigandry. And most of the book essentially is creepy descriptions of the castle, and the poor innocent girls going around, and it's like, there's shadows everywhere, and there's candlelight, and it seems to be like a sprawling mansion of a castle, and she doesn't know. And it's like, how do I get here? You have to go up these stairs, then down these stairs, then through the west wing, then around the east wing, then up to the turrets, then around here. It's just this massive, and no one knows the way around it, And the man wants his new wife to sign over some property or some land that she has, and she refuses to do it. So he imprisons her in the east turret, where she gets a fever and dies.
Okay, sure.
And she says to the girl, Emily, I'm not going to sign... Again, I don't understand her motivation, because she didn't like Emily anyway. But she's like, I'm not going to sign it over to him, you will inherit it. So then Emily inherits it, and the guy's like, cool, but you're still a prisoner in my castle, so what you going to do? I'm going to go take it.
Okay.
And then Emily really resists. He was like, you better sign it over to me, because I'm going to take it anyway. And she resists for quite some time, and then eventually she's like, you know what? I don't even know like what property this is or anything about it anyway. I guess I'll just sign it over to you. Like, it's not even her property. She still owns the original castle. This is her aunt's property that she's never even heard of or seen. So eventually she's like, you know what? Hold on. I'll just sign it over to you and then you let me go. And he's like, yes, sign this paper and you can go. And she signs it and he's like, haha, you can still not go. And she's like, you would lie to me? You who killed your wife, imprisoned me, would lie to me? And again, I don't know why, because now he's just got this random girl. And it's never ever suggested that he wants to, like, marry her or even, like, sexually assault her or anything. There's nothing like that.
Good.
It's just like, so, but then why have you kept this girl a prisoner in your castle, Two of the other soldiers mention a couple of times that they would be, like, interested in her, and he gives them her protection, but the protection is conditional on her going along with his whims and stuff, At one point, they do try to marry her off to someone else, but she keeps resisting. And there's a bit of like a confusion where they write to Kesnel, and there's a bit of like they're speaking at cross purposes, and she agrees to something, but they've forced her to agree to renting out the castle. But then it turns out the paperwork was actually for forcing her to agree to marry this guy. But then she just says, well, I'm not going to do it anyway, so what are you going to do? A lot of the thing is like her not having full conversations.
Nowhere.
Everything goes nowhere. A lot of it is her not having full conversations. So she'll walk into the room and there'll be a clear misunderstanding, and she'll just be like, well, if you don't care enough, I'm not going to explain it. And she'll just leave. I was like, you're making this work. You're a prisoner, but you're being very arrogant. You could have a frank conversation here and explain things, but you're too virtuous. She's like, I can't think about such things. I'm just going to leave, So it's very weird. Then she decides that the guy she loves, Valancourt, is a prisoner in the castle, based on no evidence, because he's in a different country.
But it's going to turn out to be true.
They think it is. She goes down to meet him, and it's the wrong person.
Oh, okay, good.
And then the other guy's like, but I also remember you from our childhood, and I would also like to marry you. And she's like, nah. So that just, again, just goes...
You stay down here in dungeons.
Yeah. So that goes nowhere. At one point, they send her away to like a farmhouse because the castle's under attack for 2 weeks. She makes zero attempt to escape while she's there and just comes back to the castle. And then they eventually sent her away back to France. They're like, finally, it's done. I've got your property or whatever. You can go back to France. And I'm 3/4 of the way through this book. It's split into 4 volumes. I just finished volume 3. I'm 513 pages in. I don't know why there's another volume. I don't know what else there is to do.
She's got to get married.
She's escaped.
She's got to get married.
In the last few pages I just read, this is the most disappointing thing ever, actually. She meets Valancourt again. I'm like, oh, problem solved. You've escaped, you're back home, and you've met Valancourt. You can marry him.
He's married.
And then they just say, oh, it turns out while you've been gone, he's turned to gambling and is like a bit of a reprobate.
Okay.
And she's like, it would have been better if he'd been dead.
Wow!
So she's like, I can never see him again. So after spending 500 pages yearning for this guy, she's like, oh, he's a bit of a reprobate now. Well,
guess I better go back to that dungeon.
Guess I just kill myself. And I'm just like, well, then what's the point? And then they find out, then right near the end of this book 3, we just need another girl, Blanche, who's in a different castle. Same character. And then we find out that
she wants to get with Stanley, who is in love with Stella.
Well,
wait, hold on, that's a different play.
Her dead mum is the girl from the photograph that the dad was looking at the beginning. So maybe that'll lead to some small revelation later, but I can't see it really having any impact on the story. I feel like the story's over. I don't know why there's 200 pages to go. I don't want them.
Well, he has to get better.
Maybe she'll improve him, yeah. But she's already escaped. Like, the work is done. She's got a bit of money. She still owns her original castle. There's really no peril anymore. Most of this book is just her scared in a castle because it's dark and scary. And she's a timid little scared girl. But, like, all the men are going around the castle just fine. Like, none of them are scared. They're just like, cool, I go through the corridors. I go through the doors. It's a house, But she's like, I'm a scared little girl. It's so dark and shadowy. And I'm like, look, I don't know if I believe that, because no one else is scared, apart from you and your servant girl. Everyone else is getting along just fine. It's a bit... Can I change it and send it down the gutter?
You have talked yourself into that.
I think I have. I think it has very little to say for it, actually. I think I've never done that before.
Yeah, but I don't know if you've changed halfway through.
I
but
put it,
also,
yeah, and then says
you're going to have to finish the next 200 pages and watch you change your opinion.
Oh god, we'll see if it picks up. But it feels like the book is done. Very little happened that I cared about, and I don't understand anyone's motivation for any of the things that they did. Basically, and all like archetype types of people, and every man that meets her wants to marry her, and he's like, "I'll help you escape from the castle if you marry me," and she's just like, "No."
Maybe she likes the castle. She just likes being a prisoner.
She doesn't take any opportunities to escape. She's not like, okay, you let me escape, and then I'll, tell you later that I'm not going to marry you. She's just like, nope. And
she just has no interest in furthering anything for herself. She's just following whatever the narrative does for her.
Pretty much, yeah.
That is such a boring character.
I forgot one other thing which makes her even more insufferable. Every now and then she just writes sonnets. And the book will just be like, Then she sat down and composed this sonnet, and there's just 3 pages of poetry
Well,
that I'm
obviously,
just
you
skipping,
didn't-
of course. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then when we meet the other girl, Blanche, she does the same thing. It's like, come on, you can't be literally the same person. So,
Well,
right, the
guess
book
it is blank slate there.
set the cool thing of like the creepy castles and the gothic thing. Good, well done, I guess. But I think it's not a good book.
You created atmosphere without creating story or characters.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
even the bad guy is very one-dimensionally bad. Because really, he's like, I want your land, so I'm going to let you die, and then maybe I get it, but then maybe it belongs to the girl, but then maybe she'll give it to me anyway, but then I'll keep imprisoning her for no reason, and then, haha, I twitch my mustaches, I'm so mean, you know?
Tire Joe really trash.
Yeah. It's kind of nothing. It's not that good. That's it.
And that's it for the first half.
Those are all my books. We're going to come back and do a smaller section where we'll hear a bit